I'm lost without you. You know I never will make it by. And I can't breathe if it isn't you and I. And I won't make it without you by my side. I can walk, can't stand, can't talk, can't fly without you. I'm so lost without you. I won't make it without you. I'm so lost without you. I won't make it without you.
This is the SW320 BenQ monitor, one of the best monitors I've seen to date. Now we're going to be talking about color grading and obviously who is it for and obviously the specifications. So specifications straight away off the bat is that it's got a 16:9 screen. This also got a 3840 by 2160 resolution for your ultimate 4K like resolution. So basically if you've got After Effects and Premiere Pro at 31.5 inch, this is basically two screens in one, so you're going to have a lot of real estate on there, which we'll show you. We'll get to that. So it's also got a 10-bit loop as well. It's a very professional monitor. You do have to go into your settings. I'm using a GTX 970 graphics card at the moment, and I've just put it on 10-bit from 8-bit. It is 60Hz monitor as well. It does have a plethora of functions, so i.e. Rec 709 for video production, CAD stuff. You've got stuff for obviously typefacing or graphic design or illustration, anything like that. It's got you covered. Very clean, very precise, means you can zoom in quite a lot. Noticed as well when I've gone through all the Adobe products and other products as well that's on there, all my other apps, I've noticed that everything seems to obviously scale to the position that it needs to, whereas when I saw these kind of monitors at 4K, everything didn't work and scale properly, but it does now. So that's really quite cool. That's really quite awesome and cool at the same time. Buttons seem very easy to use and everything like that. But yes, it's a 16:9 screen, 31.5 inch, 3840 by 2160 resolution. It does have a shade over the top. You can put it in portrait mode, which I did show in the front of the video, and it shows you that you can literally turn the monitor in portrait mode and still have a shade over the top. And also you've got a hole at the top there, obviously to drop down your calibrator to calibrate the screen. I've took the screen out and I've just plugged it straight in. It seems pretty calibrated, but I would like to obviously calibrate it properly. But I wanted to like explain it from my unbiased view, is that when you get that sort of monitor, you want to just use it straight away, but you have to think as well, where it's been calibrated could be calibrated anywhere. So I'm in the office right now, I have shade here and I've got the shade on here as well. When I'm sitting down in the chair at the table, it feels very comfortable. Obviously I've got black matte and everything seems to be black around it. It makes it a little bit more darker, so the colours might be more punchy, whereas it could have been calibrated in a more of a white environment where there's light reflecting off the white, could calibrate it differently. So that's what you need to do when you get this monitor. You should really calibrate it straight away, but it looks okay from what I can see at the moment. But we're going to go through all the settings. So at the moment I've got 4K video playing at the moment, and it just looks super silky smooth. It's really awesome. This is also an IPS screen, meaning that you can take a picture and go from left to right and straight on, and that's what you're going to see. Rather than a TN panel, you'll go to left, the right, up and down, and it will be like missing like a ghostly figure. But when you're looking at it straight on, you can see everything in good clarity. This screen has 99% Adobe Rgb, so that means you're getting a full spectrum of color, and it means that it's a bit more dynamic than obviously the sRGB. It's a lot more fluent in color. There's more ranges from the reds and the pinks all the way down to the blues, if I remember rightly. So it's a bigger spectrum. It's like the triangle of color, and that's pretty cool. But it also does have Rec 709. It does have loot that goes up to 14-bit as well, which means you're going to get really dynamic, strong colors. It's just phenomenal how you can get all of this information in this screen. But yes, it is quite big. It's basically the size of a TV. This screen has 99% Adobe Rgb, which means you're going to have a fuller spectrum of in-depth colour, which means it spreads out more to the reds and the pinks, and at the bottom it's like a little triangle, and it shows that the colour's more out of the sRGB. So if you're used to sRGB, then you're going to have a full dynamic colour range, which is 99% from this screen. It also does support dynamic range as well, so if you've got that in your camera, you want to make sure that you're getting the best from your camera and you're using a tool like this, then you'll obviously be able to see what you're working with as well. Color accuracy is 14-bit loop, which means that obviously you're talking about full, basically 99% RGB. When you're using loots are basically colors that you use in video production, or it's called color grading or grading for short, on any bit of footage or filters. You grade it to a specific way where you want it to look either dreamy or you want it to look cold if you're making a horror film, or you're making a picture for a front cover or a thumbnail and you want it to be very cold, and you do it kind of blue and the whites. And if you want it to make it warm, say like a volcano or end of world film, then it will be obviously a bit orange and a bit yellow, and it will give it a bit more of a dynamic range of color, and it's what the brain looks at to give it that feeling. So this screen can do exactly what you want it to do in the realm of, I want that color to look like that, and when it gets printed to a high grade, I want it to look exactly what I've got here, because no, there'll be no arguments. It's 99% Adobe Rgb, so big RGB spectrum right there. This screen can be calibrated without no problems. You can use a hardware calibrator. I think there's XIT or something like that, Spider 5 or something like that. I can't remember all the calibrations, it's gone. But I can leave them in a link in the description down below of all the calibration things that you can use. It also uses software calibration as well, and it can calibrate it. But there's certain people that prefer hardware calibrations like me, or you can use software. But if this software is going to improve better than what you got, then at least you can try that as well. Well, that's straight in the box, so that's good. You can download software at BenQ and do it that way, and it's got the full instructions. Leave a link in the description down below for that as well. This screen is obviously Technicolor certified. Without a doubt, it is one of the best screens. It just looks lovely. It's huge, got loads of real estate on it, and because it's an IPS screen, it works very well, and it's big and heavy. Don't forget that, it's very big and heavy. We can tilt, sorry, I'm gonna tilt forward and tilt back. It does have more tilt to the forward, but I've got this in the way, but it does tilt to about 30 degrees forward, and it also goes left and right. So if I go that way, that is a lot of swing to the left, and that's how much it swings to the right. So I've got to be careful with what the stuff, and it also goes into portrait mode, which is that way around. There we go. Which it does it pretty easy as well, to be honest. Oh, the screen looks huge like that. So that's portrait mode as well, and as you can see, you could really like use your portrait photos on here and zoom in, and you can really smash it. So this is why this can be turned to the side, which is in the video of what I've done already, and it looks absolutely stunning. Very well thought out of. And not just that, if I put this forward, I can press down, so I can lower my chair down, and I could be chilled, or I can go up, and that's as high as it goes. But you can have it however you want, it's really up to you. And did I talk about this puck key? We'll come back to that puck key straight afterwards, and I'll put it down a little bit like that. Anyway, it's a pretty nice screen that you can, obviously you've got the functions just to move, and it will benefit you really well. I can't see any bleeding through the screen at all, not even from the bottom. You know, like when you get cheaper panels, you can see like a little bleed of light where it's meant to be black. Can't see that on this screen. Been using this screen for about maybe a week and a half, and can't see any bleeding. Even when you turn it off, there's no bleed on the actual screen as well. So that is very decent, and I'm very happy with that. Design and concept. The SW320 builds upon the success of the award-winning predecessor and sets a new benchmark for wide gamut monitors, taking image quality to the next level with addition of the HDR compatibilities. The new 31.5-inch 4K ultra high definition monitor offers extraordinary clarity of fine details and textures on true 10-bit panel with 99% Adobe Rgb, 100% sRGB color space coverage, as well as supporting HDR content. Besides improvements in monitor size, resolution and image quality, BenQ team sought out the further improvement of the quality of color reproduction on screens. Knowing that ambient lighting can obstruct color accuracy, all SW series photography monitors include a detachable shading hood to reduce the screen glare to deliver the most accurate colors possible. The newly designed shading hood includes the SW320, can be used in portrait orientation as well as landscape orientation. BenQ team knows the small detail that can be a big difference. We noticed that the colour of the bezel can be affected in the photographer's viewing experience. BenQ's team experimented with various colours to find one that minimises the bezel reflection. After extensive research, the bezels on the SW320 monitor implements the best colour, ensuring the most optimal viewing experience for photography and professionals. In addition to the coating changes, the monitor stands with a refresh in a minimised style with a sleek L-shaped neck and streamlines with the monitor frame. So with this product, being that it's the SW320 by BenQ, this also has Adobe, which is definitely a must. So with 99% Adobe Rgb color space, offers an impressive range of vibrant colors, particularly reproducing shades of blue and green that are true to color. So on the screen, which I've got here at the moment, is the fact this is how it works. But oh, there we go, that's cool. Right, so with Adobe Rgb, so you've got DCI P3, which is the black, and then Adobe Rgb and sRGB being Adobe 99% Adobe Rgb, showing full spectrum, so wide spectrum gamut, and that's how it is. So it just literally spreads out the scale, which you wouldn't normally have. So you get these wonderful extra spectrum of color that literally comes out. I don't think there's anything else to really explain. It just looks shockingly sharp. So there it is. It's good. So it's an sRGB, so slightly shaded and slightly less light, and slightly this, slightly that. So with the range of colours that you've got missing, the Adobe Rgb is brighter, punchier, and it's more sharper to colour, looks more realistic into detail. So if you were making games, you can make them more sharper, especially if someone was actually playing a game with the decent monitor that could show this. So I'm going to go into Adobe Illustrator, and I'm just going to show you what 4K looks like on here. It looks very clean. So if I go, that's as far as I can go, then I go Control Y. You can see the lines, very clean, not as jagged as what it would be on a 1920 by 1080 resolution. And I can zoom straight out. You can get, when you're using the pen tool, so where is it here? And I'm using the pen tool and I'm curving around, and say that I literally double back on myself, you wouldn't notice it as much on 1920 by 1080 resolution. So if I just finish that here. It looks nice and clean, and I can zoom straight in, and then I can obviously play around with it. Or I can add another point to it. Sounds like I'm doing an illustration lesson right now, but I'm not. Get here. Oh, I need to change that. And I can manipulate it. So you can see where it's overlapped because it's so clean. I can zoom right in, and I can really take my tool and obviously clean it all up and stuff, because I can see exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, so that's what I like about it. It is very clean. So whenever you're doing anything to do with design in 4K, it's really good. But what's even better is because it's got a 32-inch screen and it's IPS screen, so if I'm looking from the left, looking from the right, looking from up down, it's going to look exactly the same. The same way with photos. So if I go and get a photo really quickly, photo. Let's get a photo. Let's go with this one. And put it in Illustrator, bang, put it on there. Oh my god, that is huge. So looking at my photo right now, and this is in Illustrator. This is a 1920 by 1080 res. No, it's not actually, because I've done this on the 5D Mark III. So this actual picture is bigger than 4K. Thinking about it, it's absolutely huge. Right, so obviously these little squares have been created in 1920 by 1080 resolution, and then this is how big the picture came out. And I think this is raw as well. But yeah, this is what you can play around with. And obviously you don't use Illustrator really for Photoshop. You don't use photos for Illustrator unless you're doing some kind of different design with it. You normally put it in Photoshop. But anyway, it just shows like how clean, how it looks and stuff, that you can play around with it. I'll even zoom in as much as I can. And obviously I've got shallow depth of field going on. I need to find something with a bit more clarity. Where was my focus point? I don't even know. It just picks it up so well. It's super crystal clean, super crystal clear. Love it. As this panel is an IPS screen, you've got 178 degrees from left and right of viewing angles, which is awesome. Which I did show you earlier, but I'm not too sure if I did or not. But at least I'm showing you now, and it's just awesome. It's really quite cool. Right, so we're going to be using Photoshop and Premiere Pro to obviously grade a little bit of footage. Like one's going to be a picture, one's going to be a video, and obviously with this having a color accuracy, a 14-bit 3D lookup table loop attains the color difference of Delta ES2 in both Adobe Rgb and sRGB color spaces, and improves RGB color blending and accuracy, resulting in impeccable color and gray tone reproduction. Well, I'll be the judge of that. So let's go. We're gonna put a picture in here, which I just took off my friend the other day. Right, so here's the picture of my pal, and this is in a resolution of 3840 by 2160 in Photoshop. And as you can see, that I've got all of my functions in the perfect natural space and habitat of its natural well-being, which means that I'm not like squinting my eyes. I didn't have to do any resolution checks or anything like that. It just works. Now I'm going to go into something. I can't remember what I was going to go into. Oh yeah, we're going to go into raw camera, wherever that is on here. Where is the raw camera? What is it then? Oh yeah, camera raw filter. So we're going to go into here, and then this is where we can play around with obviously the histogram, and play around with the color spectrum with the RGBs. I can muck about and turn down the exposure, and literally I can just see it's on. But if I move to the front, move to the side, I'm seeing exactly what I want to see, so that's decent. And obviously you can brighten up the exposure, not too much, because it's meant to be kind of like a dark. Like I'm basically making you, like, guiding you into the picture, but I'm guiding you here first because that's where my focus point is. Then obviously it's a shallow depth of field, but that's the way you just whatever, who's creative and who's not. But anyway, contrast, as you can see, the contrast tones work superb. They really do. Highlights work superb. You really do have, like, compared to using this on a 60 Hz 1920 by 1080 resolution screen, without all of this functionality, is totally different. You can really play around with the colors on here. So let me just do a little grade actually, like so. Let's just grade it up a little bit. So highlights, shadows, darken down a little bit. The whites, bring to the top a little piece. Not too much, probably have to bring that down a little bit. And then blacks, look at that, darken it straight up. And then all you can see is the light hitting the actual buttons and stuff. But his hairline comes in a bit too much, so I need to bring it in, which would be about here. And then clarity can really just make it look really strong. That looks sharp as anything, and that just looks way too much. It's good fun though. So just blend that in, dehaze. That's pretty cool. Vibrance. Yes, the vibrance on a 1920. Well, when I'm using another monitor, it looks horrible. This doesn't even look too bad. So I've got a little bit of colour still in the background. That looks really, really mad. Absolutely crazy. I'm sure you can't even do that on my other screens. You've literally got everything in black and white, but you're picking up a little bit of colour as well in the vibrance. That's mad. Saturation. Take out, make it black and white, or just make it a horrible, vibrant colour that's too vibrant. But yeah, so you can draw yourself in by making the colours pop. So if I take down the saturation a bit, then it just means that I'm more focused on the light areas. It depends on how I'm designing or colour grading the picture. So that's pretty awesome. I really like that. Temperatures can go really hard. It really does have a lot of pump in the scale. I think anyone that's interested in getting this really does need this sort of monitor. It's ridiculously powerful, it really is. But anyway, I'll just cancel that because I'm not even using it. So let me cancel Photoshop off. Then I'm going to go into Premiere Pro, grab a video off the desktop. All that real estate. Look at that though, look at that. Right, so now I just need to fix the video because it's terrible. Anyway, so I'm going to just check out the little loops that you get on here really quickly. I need to click on the video. There we go. So depending on how you grade your footage, you've got all of this spectrum of colour, and it's, to be honest with you, I could never tell before when I was using other monitors, but I can really tell the depth of colour. It's like certain colours is like, where have you been my rest of my life? You've got it in there, so you can really play around with the curves. And even on the video, it really does prove that it does work. It's absolutely amazing. So if I bring that down a little bit, got a bit of red in there somehow. There we go. Green. Where are we with the green? Should we make me green? Oh, look, you can make it. You can really, really mess about. Do you know what? I feel that this is so different. So if we're going to go back to where I've done RGB curves, I'm going to be like playing around with this for weeks now. So if I just go to creative mode quickly, and I'll just pick a grade really quick. I'll bring this over so you can see what I'm looking at. It's got black and white. It just looks completely, the colour's completely different. It is realistic as you can get on this screen. I wouldn't use that colour anyway, but it just shows that you can really play around with things, or you can mess around with your shadows, mild tones, the highlights, or you can do your temperatures and tint, contrast, sharpen, saturation, and then vignette it and stuff like that. There's so many things you can do with grading on here, but you've got all this real estate, so you can have one video bit here, another video bit here, and you're grading over this side. Whereas you're using a very small 24-inch screen, it's really hard to see that. You need another 2 screens, so that's pretty cool. So if I go to the BenQ website quickly, there's this thing called Duo something. Where is it? It is here. So outstanding color accuracy and resolution. You got this here, and you can. That's not the one. Where is it? It's here. There you go. Gamut Duo. So you've got sRGB and Adobe Rgb, and you can split it down the middle, and you can see which is the difference while actually playing natural video or photography, and you can see the difference right there in that space. And you can use one PC or 2 PCs, or you can use a Mac or 2 Macs. It's up to you. That's how it works. It's pretty amazing. So you've got the connectors for everything. Talking about connectors, let's talk about the connectors, because obviously you want to know how to like put it together. So let's go spin this monitor around real quick so I can tell you what the settings are underneath. So we've got a kettle lead, which is obviously plugged in, the puck as well, which is a controller, which we'll go through that in a minute. We have got a display port, actually it's a mini display port cable, and we've got a micro USB which is connected to the actual puck, HDMI display port, which you get in the cable, and upstream, or was that a downstream? Upstream, yeah, cable, 3.5mm jack for headphones on the back there, and on the side next to the shade you've got an SD card reader, which is USB 3 speed, or USB 3 bus, and then you've got two down USB 3s on the side there. I'm sure you ain't got nothing on the other side, if I remember rightly. Oh, nothing on the other side of that. So you get all those connectors, you get all the cables, and they're all good quality cables and stuff like that, which is awesome, because when you actually get these cables you need to make sure they definitely work. You got all of these settings, so if I bring the camera closer, we're going to go through the settings real quick. So I'm going to go into the menu real quick. So I've just gone on the keyboard. So we're going to click the 1, 2, 3, 4th button in, and 4th button in again, and then this will bring up the full menu, and you've got display, color adjustment, Pip, PBP, and system. So you go through input, I'm going to just go through them all. And you've got HDMI display port and mini display port. Then down you've got aspect ratio, full aspect or any aspect that you want. So if I go back and then go down, we've got go across. So we've got color mode. So I went through this earlier. Adobe Rgb, which is 99%, and then sRGB, which is, hang on, which one's 100%? 99%. I can't remember now. Whoa. I'm just gonna say this. So we've got color, going to color adjustment, got color mode, go across, and then we've got color mode, obviously Adobe Rgb, sRGB, black and white. So if I go through the screen really quickly, go freaking forward and then go onto there, and if I go down, so that was on Adobe Rgb before, now it's on sRGB. Then black and white, so you can see your picture straight away in black and white. You've got different levels of contrast and saturation. Then you've got Rec 709 for video production, cinematography and stuff like that. Then DCI-P, P3, you've got darkroom, you've got HDR, you've got calibration 1 and 2, you've got custom 1, custom 2, then you've got CAD and CAM and animation. Depending on whatever you're working in is what it's going to look like. And to be honest with you, when you actually click through the buttons, every single thing looks different and awesome to whatever you're going to be working in, because it does really benefit what you're doing. So click tick that because I'm in when I'm in Adobe Rgb. Then I can go down, go to brightness, I'm on 70 at the moment, and contrast is at 50, sharpness 5, color temps. It's just good because it's registered in Kelvin, so 5,000 Kelvin, 65,000 Kelvin, 93,000 Kelvin, custom user defined. We go down to gamma 1.6, 1.8, 2.2, 2.4, 2.6. Then we've got color gamut, Adobe Rgb, sRGB, Rec 709, DCI-P, P3. And then we've got hue, and we've got saturation, we've got black levels, so you can really punch out the blacks and the whites. It's a bit like black equalizer on the esports monitors, which is really cool if you know all about it. You can save color settings or reset color settings if you want. And then if I go back, and we're going to go down to Pip, and then we go into mode, you've got Pip, PBP, and then off. And then you can go, you can't really go anywhere else because it's obviously shut down. So I'll just go backwards, and well, should I go? Yeah, I'll go that way, and then I'll literally put Pip on. What does Pip look like? It's a freaking lover screen. So did you know that's what we can do? But I've already said we can do that, so let's turn it off. We don't need Pip. Pip can go away now, and let me turn, where's Pip? Go into there, go down to off, and then we get rid of that square, and then we got the full screen again. Right, so if I go back into the menu, and we leave Pip alone, because Pip's not interested in speaking to us right now. But you got Pip size, height, position, vertical position, color gamut, gamma and color temp in there as well. And I don't know why I've gone out of that menu. And if I go down to system, you've got on-screen display, settings, language, display time, on-screen lock, so it just stays on there, calibration reminder, on-screen display key brightness, HDMI, RGB, PC range, display port, audio, AMA, which is nice to see, auto power on and off after 10, 20, 30 minutes, because this screen is not really made for saving money because it's really powerful. You've got auto pivot on and off. You got resolution notice on and off, custom key 1, brightness got, well, that is just a lot of stuff just to go through. And that would be to do with this puck key right here. This puck key, you can program all of these buttons. You've got navigation for up, down, left and right, okay, 1, 2, 3 and back. So that's pretty cool. So if I click into 1, I've got Adobe Rgb. If I click into 2, I've got sRGB. If I click into 3, I've got black and white. So if I want to go from different shows, from whatever I'm looking at, pictures or video, I can do that. Then I can just go, let's go into this menu. And I feel like just going down to system again and then going across, then going all the way down, which seems a lot freaking quicker than all of this. But yes, you can program all your buttons from everything from Rec 709, DDC, CI to animation, and obviously find out your information as well, which is at 30 and 40, 21, 60, 60 Hertz, and it's SW30, SW320 actually. So yeah, that is the full review of this mad screen. Absolutely stunning, beautiful, love it. So I've just remembered when I looked on the screen, I forgot to say about how many colours. It's got 1.7 billion display colours because it's a crazy 10-bit monitor, which is 8-bit, doesn't really do that much. But yeah, it is really quite cool. Whoa, what happened there? Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff. Oh, that's what it is. Support calibrator, X-Rite, Display Pro 2, and Data Color, Spider 4 and 5 it can use. So that's great to know, because I couldn't remember. I don't need to link in the description down below because it's already in this video. And yes, you got the Palette Master by BenQ, so you can download it, and I'll leave it into the link in the description down below. Anyway, Technicolor, yes, said that. Windows 7 compatible, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, bit dodgy, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, Mac operating systems compatible, and other accessories, which has got the shading hood, not just this one, but the other hood. Yes, I've gone through everything. I haven't forgotten everything. If any of you want to ask me any questions about this monitor, I'm using this as a daily driver, so you can see all the stuff going on. I use this for work and stuff like that. So I use Rec 709, but sometimes I just get carried away, and I just really I think to myself, the colour looks beautiful as it is, but when you're using Rec 709, it gives it more of a cinematic feel, and when you're losing sRGB, it is okay, because that's what I normally use. But then when you're using Adobe Rgb, it's that next level, especially when you're playing around with depth of colour and stuff. And the black and white is pretty cool if you just want to, if you're a person that likes to do colour and black and white pictures, and maybe video, like you do some old school black and white stuff, then yeah, it is really, really freaking good. The shade is quite decent quality as well. It's got this velvet sort of feel to it. You do get this big box and you can put them all in. Obviously this whole shade doesn't use on this whole screen. You use different parts of it because obviously it's got a smaller calibrator shade that goes on the top when you turn it around and stuff like that. And editing in portrait mode is super cool. Anyway, I've been waffling on for ages. Do I recommend this screen? No, I don't recommend this screen. I 100% recommend this screen. No, actually 99.9%, because obviously it's Adobe. It's not 100%. It's only 99%. No, I definitely 100% recommend this screen. If you're a professional and you're in a budget of spending, like, say you're using cameras like red cameras and stuff like that, then this screen will be for you. If you're in the realm of just using 1920 by 1080 resolution and you just want a really decent monitor, I can recommend it to you, because you will see a significant boost compared to other monitors at 1920 by 1080 resolution. Plus you can knock this down to 1920 by 1080 if you want to, or even 2K, or even 4K. It's up to you. That's the good thing about it. And you can go from 8-bit to 10-bit as well. And the loop color is in depth, is immense. The whole monitor is immense. The whole video and everything's immense. Anyway, I hope this helped you and it was in depth enough, because if it was, throw us a like, subscribe, comment for all videos that are to come like this, and say like, I want to see more screenage connected to a computer. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm using only a Core i5 8600K Coffee Lake processor, 970. So basically one of these graphics cards, but just the lower end, 970 graphics card, and I still could get the 10-bit monitor going. So I needed to look at it from a different perspective, because if you haven't got loads of money to buy graphics cards, at least you want to know what the bottom end is that you can use it with. So far, 970 GTX graphics card, EVGA, subclocked, works really well. I've got 32 gigabytes of crucial memory, running at 3000 megahertz, and the latency speeds are really fast and really clean. And obviously it's DDR4, it's all water cooled and everything like that, and it's in a decent case to breathe, so it doesn't get hot. That's why it's quiet. Anyway, that is it. I'm Roger, and I'm out.